Hi everyone, welcome to session number 36. In session 36 to 40 of organic chemistry, we'll discuss identification of organic compounds by spectroscopic technique. That means this will be concentrating on spectroscopic technique, different spectroscopic technique like UV, IR and NMR. In the last semester, you have already studied something about UV visible spectroscopy, something related to Beer-Lambert's law, range of UV visible spectroscopy, and absorption spectrum, emission spectrum, molecular spectra, and the difference between atomic spectra and molecular spectra, and how you get complex spectra in case of molecules, diatomic molecules, polyatomic molecules, and you also have seen different possible transitions, electronic transition, which happens on absorption of a light. It may be 5 to 5 star, sigma to 5 star, sigma to sigma star, n to 5 star. All these things you have studied. We'll just recollect that quickly. The features of molecular spectra. It looks broad, and all diatomic molecule spectra. I mean, homonuclear molecules gives only electronic spectra. Remember this, homonuclear molecules. I think in detail it wasn't discussed in the last semester, but too much discussion on this will go beyond the scope of this syllabus. So I don't discuss anything in detail, but you just go through these points one by one. Electronic spectra are the most complex. It's a bit difficult to solve. I mean, because the molecular spectroscopy it involves so many transitions. It may be because there are when there is an absorption of UV visible region, when the absorption takes place, then there will be excitation in all perspectives, like transition, change in transition energies, vibration energies, rotation energy. Then there will be electronic transitions. So please go through Puri Sharma book for this. So, and involve change in electronic vibration, that's what I already told. They involve change in electronic vibration and rotational energy of the molecule. So all diatomic molecules exhibit electronic spectra, and homonuclear molecules give only one electronic spectra, because it gives only electronic spectra, because homonuclear can give only electronic spectra, because there cannot be change in vibrational and rotational kind of thing. That's why they are microwave inactive and IR inactive. For example, N2 and O2, it may be hydrogen. They are IR and microwave inactive, but they were UV active. Okay, going ahead, I think this we have seen the instrumentation part, because the last time during the discussion of Beer-Lambert's law, you have seen the sample is kept, and what is that monochromator, detector, and how exactly spectrum is recorded. And this is how UV visible spectrometer, spectrophotometer, single beam or double beam one looks like, more sophisticated with the software installed in the computer or the desktop, and you can monitor the progress. You can have a picture of the progress of the absorption or emission. This is how it looks. The spectra, when atomic spectra, they look very sharp. When it becomes a diatomic, you will get many lines because of various absorption. And large molecule, of course, they all come very much closer. They all submerge. You will get a broad spectra. So because of various transitions possible, here only electronic transition from one orbital to other orbital and emission, so that you will get a very sharp signal. But here there are various transitions, like vibrational energy also come into picture, and rotational energy, and here many more will come into picture of rotation and vibration. That's why you get very broad spectrum. Okay, these were the different transitions which we discussed in the last semester. Hope you have studied, because these are the different transitions which can take place from 5 to 5 star, sigma to sigma star, which happen in the UV visible region because of absorption of UV visible electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, and about the band intensity, sigma to sigma star, n to sigma star, n to 5 star, 5 to 5 star. So which all come first, which all come later, and N to 5 star is moderate, and 5 to 5 star is very strong. The wavelength region, just have a look at this, just to recollect what you have studied in the last semester. Okay, then what you have in this semester is chromophores, exochromes. What are chromophores? What are exochromes? What is bathochromic shift? Hypsochromic shift, hyperchromic shift. It is hypso. It should be PSO. Okay, then we will see what are chromophores, because these are some of the groups which give or which impart color to the substance, or which is responsible for the absorption of light in the UV region and visible region. Okay, chromophores are the functional group that is responsible for electronic transition. Group will have characteristic lambda max and epsilon max. Lambda max and epsilon max already in the last semester during discussion of Beer Lambert's we have studied. The lambda max is that wavelength, and epsilon max is indicates the height of that peak. Okay, molecular structure, molecular structure or environment that can influence lambda max and epsilon. There are some examples like aromatic groups, nitro, diazo, azo, nitroso, etc. Okay, exochromes are the substituent with unchaired pair of electrons like OH, NH and SH. When attached to 5 chromophore, they generally move the absorption max to longer lambda. These are some of the substituents, okay, which along with the chromophore, they change the position of lambda max and epsilon max. And there is something called bathochromic shift. Bathochromic shift means shift to longer lambda, and hypsochromic shift, there is shift to shorter lambda. It's also called red shift and blue shift respectively. Hyperchromic effect, increase in epsilon maximum, and hypochromic effect, decrease in epsilon maximum of the band. So you can see these are some of the chromophores with the structure. The carbonyl chromophore, absorption takes place something around 280 nanometer, azo 262, nitro 270, thioketone it is 330. So this is this extended conjugation, conjugated double bond, they all come in chromophores, because whatever double bond, even single bond you can consider, because in alkanes single bond is a chromophore, but it absorbs in UV region, that's why you don't see any color for alkanes. But simple alkenes again are colorless, but when you come to these conjugated alkenes, it will start shifting to visible region, that's why you start seeing color for these compounds. And exochromes are any group which does not itself act as a chromophore, but whose presence brings about a shift or absorption of the absorption band towards the red end of the spectrum. Okay, because of exochrome, what happens? This will shift to the red end, red shift. That will be red shift. It's also called bathochromic shift. Chromophore plus exochrome, you will get a newer chromophore. Exochrome is a color enhancing group. The effect is due to its ability to extend the conjugation of a chromophore by sharing the north bonding electrons. Some of these are, suppose you have aniline. In case of benzene, benzene, the double bond is chromophore and epsilon max is 203. Suppose we have aniline. Now, how do you say that this shift will take place? Because see the difference, in benzene, chromophore present is double bond and absorption is as 255 nanometer. In aniline, it is 280 nanometer. So because of NH2 group, that is exochrome, this is shifted to higher wavelength or bathochromic shift. Okay, when there is a shift and epsilon max will increase. See, if there is a bathochromic shift, then there will be increase in epsilon maximum. Okay, it's the same result you will see in the presence of OH, OR, NH2, all these things. So you can see it here, effect of substituents. So bathochromic shift is red shift, a shift to longer lambda, lower energy. Okay, this side if it is shifted, this is this one is spectrum, what you get, that means the peak or absorption spectrum, what you get. Okay, I mean the spectrum what you get in the UV visible region. So once you got some spectrum, now because of some groups, okay, especially these exochromes, there will be shift. Now what is this bathochromic shift? If the lambda max, So here you get lambda max, that is peak height, and this height what you get, that is epsilon max. Okay, this was there in the discussion of the Beer-Lambert's law. Okay, that's why I don't discuss it again. You have already studied in the last semester. So the lambda max, one which corresponds to this, it will shift to this side. That means it will go to red side. Okay, because here it is blue side, this side is blue, this side is red. Why? Because here the wavelength increases. Here if you come to this side, wavelength decreases. Wavelength increases means what? It goes towards red shift. Wavelength decreases means what? It will go towards blue shift. Okay. Bathochromic shift, a shift to longer lambda or lower energy, or hypsochromic shift, that is blue shift. Because of some groups it can go to this side. If it goes to this side, left hand side, or blue shift, then it is shorter wavelength. Okay. Hyperchromic shift. Hyperchromic shift means what? Increase in intensity. Okay. Hypo means below. Hyper means higher, above. Okay. An increase in intensity, a decrease in intensity takes place. Usually, bathochromic shift has hyperchromic effect, an increase in intensity, and hypsochromic shift has hypochromic effect, a decrease in intensity. That's why you have seen in this example, when you have introduced a NH2 to benzene, okay, aniline, in case of an NH2 is introduced, what happens? See, this is a red shift, increase in intensity, increase in wavelength, red shift, and epsilon max also has increased. So bathochromic shift, again, if you see the characteristic feature, the longer wavelength it will shift to change of solvent or exochrome. Usually you can make this effect by changing the solvent or by changing the exochrome. And N to 5 star transition for carbonyl compounds experience as bathochromic shift when the polarity of the solvent is decreased. Okay, this effect of solvent was there in the last semester for the transitions 5 to 5 star, N to 5 star. Okay, because of polarity change. Okay, and you'll go to this slide. Okay, here effect of solvent. Okay, here 5 to 5 star transition, because of solvent, what will happen? 5 star is more polar here, that's why it will coordinate with the solvent, polar solvent, that's why this will come down. So 5 to 5 star transition, it will be reduced, I mean the energy gap will be reduced, that's why that will go to red side or red shift, bathochromic shift. Now if there is an N to 5 star, what happens? N is more polar than 5 star, N is more coordinated with the solvent, with the polar solvent, then this will come down, further it will come down. So N to 5 star transition, that energy gap will increase. So this will go to blue side or blue shift or hypsochromic shift. This is what is mentioned here. Change of solvent. N to 5 star transition for carbonyl compounds experience bathochromic shift when the polarity of the solvent is decreased. So if polarity is increased, then there will be blue shift, as I told in that slide. If it is decreased, it will be bathochromic shift. Hypsochromic shift towards shorter wavelength, blue shift, and aniline, and this example you have already seen, aniline in the presence of NH2, what happens? And if you change the polarity of the solvent, what can happen? In acidic solution, it will form NH3+. So now what happened? See, aniline has certain characteristic absorption at 280 nanometer. Now if you protonate this, now conjugation is minimized. The electron transition from N to this benzene ring is not possible, because this pair of electron is now associated with this extra proton. Okay, so it has become plus. There is no free electrons to move from nitrogen to benzene ring. That's why what happens? This has experienced blue shift or hypsochromic shift. Conjugation or removal of lone pair of electrons, the absorption takes place at lower wavelength. This is called hypsochromic shift. So hyperchromic shift due to increase in intensity, that is epsilon max, due to the introduction of exochrome. For example, pyridine you have 257 nanometer, and epsilon max is this one 2750. And if you introduce 2-methyl, that is methyl position at the second methyl at the second position, 2-methylpyridine. That what happens? See, 257 nanometer you saw for pyridine, and this will come at 262 nanometer, something closer, but epsilon max you see it has increased. That means hyperchromic shift. As I already told you, if there is a bathochromic shift, then there can be hyperchromic. If there is a hypsochromic shift, then there will be hypochromic shift. Okay, these most of the cases this will be together. That is, bathochromic is associated with hyperchromic, and hypsochromic is associated with hypochromic. So hypochromic shift, inverse of hypochromic, hyperchromic, that is a decrease of intensity. Introduction of any group to the compounds which is going to alter the molecular pattern of the compounds. For example, biphenyl absorption is at 250 nanometer, and see 19,000 is the epsilon max, whereas 2-methyl biphenyl has an absorption of 237 nanometer, and see what happens to this one, epsilon max. It is 19,000, it is 10,250 epsilon max, so it has decreased. Okay, now the lambda also you can see what happens, lambda max, it is decreased. So that's what I already clarified this. Whenever there is a decrease in the wavelength, there will be hypochromic shift. So you can see it here, different spectra. So aniline, nitrobenzene, and para-amino-nitrobenzene or para-nitroaniline and meta-nitroaniline. See this one, aniline, it has given lambda max at something around 250. Now nitrobenzene, that gives something around 270, 260, 270 something. Okay, now you have para-nitroaniline. See this one, there is a red shift. From aniline it has come to, or if you consider nitrobenzene as a first example, you can take any one of these to compare these two. So you consider nitrobenzene is coming at around 270 or 260. If you see the peak height here, something around 260. So if you introduce amine at the para position, what happened? There is a bathochromic shift, and there is also hyperchromic shift, hyperchromic and bathochromic. Okay, so why? Because NH2 now acts as an oxochrome. So oxochrome has shifted from this to this side. Or if you consider this one here also, because of this nitrooxochrome, it has shifted from here to here. Okay, and oxochrome now, if it is in meta position, so consider this one, meta nitro. Here the conjugation is not that favored, because you know it when they are meta to each other. Here when they are para to each other, you know this is electron withdrawing group, this is electron donating group, that conjugation is highly feasible. But here that type of extended conjugation is not highly feasible because they are meta to each other. That's why there will be a shift, there will be a conjugation, but that epsilon maximum is not higher, it is not coming to a higher level. So what happens, this one if you see, in the beginning, you know, one peak you will get something around, of course there is a shift, and another peak you will get somewhere here, but the epsilon maximum is lower. Okay, though there is a bathochromic shift, epsilon max is not higher. Okay, because of this meta relativity. Then in the syllabus there are some examples which they have given. You should remember the spectrum also for this. U is the spectrum of 1,3-butadiene. If you see it here, the main transition which takes place is 5 to 5 star, and it occurs as 217 nanometer. You can see the spectrum like this. Spectrum of 1,3-butadiene is shown here. Now if you see the spectrum of ethylene, because there is only one double bond, now this comes something around 150 or below, 150 to 160 nanometer. Okay, 140 to 150 nanometer it comes. But when you introduce one more double bond, because in butadiene there are two double bonds, now it comes to, you know, higher wavelength. Lambda max is shifted towards the right. Okay, that means red shift or bathochromic shift. So you see lambda max at 217 nanometer. U spectrum of benzene, the main transition possible is again 5 to 5 star. Lambda max comes something around 254 nanometer, very characteristic. You see in the U visible region, this one visible region, something around 254 nanometer blue region. U visible spectrum of lycopene. You have main transition 5 to 5 star. Lambda max you will appear, mainly they appear at 471 and 502 nanometer, which are major characteristic peaks. Try to remember this one. And effect of conjugation on U visible absorption. What happens when there is a conjugation? This you have already seen here. See the difference between ethylene and butadiene. In butadiene, as I already told you, there is a shift of lambda max from this side, that is something around at 142, right side, that is bathochromic shift. So what happens because of extended conjugation, the transition, that is 5 to 5 star, that energy gap reduces because there is a delocalization of electron. So if there is a delocalization of electron, energy difference between HOMO and LUMO will decrease, okay, as the extent of conjugation increases. So lambda max increases as conjugation increases. So 1,3 butadiene 217, 135 hexatriene 258 nanometer. Okay, so this is what it happens. You can see here ethylene, the energy gap 5 to 5 star. Butadiene, you can consider HOMO and LUMO, that's also fine. And hexatriene you can see, and octatetraene, so you can see the energy gap is very much low. The energy gap is getting reduced, the transition energy or the energy required for the transition from one level to other will also decrease. Now if the energy decreases for the transition, that is energy of absorption, it goes on decrease, then what happens? Of course it will shift to red side. The wavelength required is very low now. Wavelength required is higher because energy needed is lower. So it will go to red shift. So that will be a red shift or bathochromic shift. This is what you can see here. Ethylene, you have one double bond and 174. You have 1,3 butadiene, that is 217 nanometer, and 135 hexatriene, you have 258 nanometer. So it has moved towards right, or there is a red shift. Fewer conjugated 5 bonds, lower lambda max. More conjugated 5 bonds, higher lambda max. That is towards the visible region or bathochromic shift. So extended conjugation, what it does, as the number of conjugation increases, there is a bathochromic shift and there is an increase in epsilon max, that is nothing but hyperchromic shift, hyperchromic and bathochromic shift. And these are some more examples you can refer. And you can see some more example where benzene, naphthalene and anthracene. You can see here benzene comes something around 230 to 254 nanometer, you have already seen. And naphthalene is shifted towards something around 300 and anthracene comes something close to 400. So it is shifting towards the right, bathochromic shift. You can see here n equal to 3, n equal to 4, n equal to 5. As the conjugation increases, it is getting shifted towards the right side. And conjugation with CO, carbonate. One important example you can see that methyl oxide, and which is similar to butadiene. So here you see the difference between this and this. There is only one double bond. Here there is only carbonate. Then you see absorption maximum lambda max less than 200 nanometer. Here also less than 200 nanometer. Now you combine this. I mean you take a methyl oxide because it will be a mixture of double bond as well as carbonate. What is the relationship between this double bond and this double bond? I mean what will be a coordination? There will be a conjugation. They are in conjugation, right? It can move like this, it can move like this, it can come to here. If there is a conjugation, there will be a or extended conjugation takes place, then what happens? As I already told you, there is a red shift or bathochromic shift. So this is what is happening. So now when you combine this, there is a 5 to 5 star transition which is possible. So that is getting shifted. Okay, you can see 228 nanometer. Here it was coming at 200 nanometer, and now 5 to 5 star is shifted to 228 nanometer. So a very good example which has been asked in the examination several times, acetone and methyl vinyl ketone. Okay, mostly in the board examination it was earlier question papers I have seen. This question was there in the University of Mysore board examination. Acetone and methyl vinyl ketone, what happens? So you have to explain this, that is, what happens to the transition when you change from acetone to methyl vinyl ketone. See the difference between acetone and methyl vinyl ketone. Here only there is keto, here there is an extended conjugation. Here double bond is in conjugation with ketone. So this is methyl vinyl ketone. Now in case of acetone, there are two transitions possible, N to 5 star and 5 to 5 star. 5 to 5 star is having epsilon max very high. So that comes at around 195, lambda max 274 for N to 5 star. Now both will shift to red side. There is a red shift or bathochromic shift. Why? Because there is an extended conjugation, the energy gap will be reduced and energy required for the transition will reduce and lambda max will increase. So you can see 200, this lambda max will shift to 324 and 5 to 5 star lambda max will shift to 219. You can see it here, methyl vinyl ketone spectrum and this is acetone spectrum. These are some of the applications of UV spectroscopy, detection of functional group. Because see, as I already told you in the beginning, these spectroscopic techniques, they are used in the identification of organic compounds. The main application of organic spectroscopy in organic chemistry is to detect the organic compound. You combine everything here. In general, if I want to tell, only UV visible spectroscopy can't tell you the structure. UV visible, IR, NMR, mass, sometimes GCMS, LCMS, all together will tell you the structure. Even after that, sometimes you have to take single crystal XRD or XRD powder pattern. All those things together, it will tell you the structure of the any compound, newly synthesized molecule, something like that. Okay, or you extracted some new natural product from some plant. You want to confirm the structure of the pure sample. Then you have to follow all these spectroscopic techniques step by step. Okay, this is a very important tool. Spectroscopy is a very important tool. If you go to some industry, they will ask surely some questions on spectroscopy. Okay, UV, IR, NMR and all. So they might ask some basic questions, so you should be able to tell. So detection of functional group. Again, see, this UV spectroscopy is having some wide application in semiconductor technology and in inorganic chemistry when you synthesize some nanomaterials. Okay, organic chemistry point of view, you can just tell is there any chromophore or exochrome, is there any absorption in UV visible region, something like that you can tell. But you can't tell what exactly a functional group is present. Functional group detection starts when you go for infrared. But to some extent you can tell, is there any conjugation, is there any change in conjugation, is there any aromatic compound, because 5 to 5 star transition always you start experiencing. So you can say detection of functional groups, detection of extent of conjugation. That's why if there is an extended conjugation, it will go to red shift. Identification of an unknown compound. If you have the UV spectrum of a standard sample, then you can compare with the newly synthesized one. If it is matching very exactly, then you can tell a similar compound is formed. But again, it is not 100%. Determination of configurations of geometrical isomers. Cis alkenes absorb at different wavelengths than the trans alkenes. So geometrical isomers, cis and trans. Okay, cis and trans, they absorb at different wavelengths because that conjugation or conjugated, whatever that double bond is there, their movement matters. That's why they absorb at different wavelengths with each other when one of the isomer has non-coplanar structure due to steric hindrance. Usually cis will be having steric hindrance, it. So because of steric hindrance, they ought to go out of plane. That's why that double bond is, double bond electron is unable to move because they lose planarity. The cis isomer suppose distortion and absorb at lower wavelength as compared to trans isomer. Why? Because now if it has lost the planarity, it is unable to move. Now lower wavelength means higher energy is required for the movement of those double bond electrons. So determination of purity of a substance, this what you can just compare with a pure sample and you can't tell it specifically whether your sample is exactly same or not, but to some extent you can compare the purity. Suppose you purchase some chemical and you have a chemical, okay, and you have the one which is very pure. You want to check whether the purchased one is pure. Then you can record UV, and also you have to record IR to confirm whether it is pure or not. These are some of the references which I followed. Kindly follow these. Available in Google. You just copy paste these things and read some very important books. The books like Pavia book is very nice, and again some UV visible. You can read Peter Atkins book, and you can read the Puri Sharma book, because these are very useful. And watch more videos on YouTube. They explain very nicely. There are, because due to some technical problems, sorry for that, I am not able to explain many things, because one can show how exactly chromophore and oxochrome, because of their presence, how they can induce red shift, how they can induce blue shift, how exactly there has been increase in epsilon max. All these things we can understand. Thank you for watching.